What's up, guys? Welcome to Nimble Minds Talks of Self and Spirituality. This is a channel where we talk about different spiritual practices as well as different philosophical perspectives. And in this video today, we're just going to be talking about lust. And lust for me has had a pretty important impact on my life. And when I say that, I'm not coming at you guys as like you feel me, like I got a whole bunch of kids, you feel me, because of lust, but it's because of the lessons that lust can teach you. And what does that mean when we're talking about lust? Okay, it's just, oh, don't sleep with her. You're trying to say that, I can't have this girl, or this girl can't have this guy. Well, not necessarily, but we will get into that. But first, we're gonna go ahead and start simple. I like to do that, start simple, and then gradually build on that. So first, what is lust? Okay, while we can have this conversation, first let's try to get a simple definition of what lust could be. Well, simply, that can be a type of feeling that you have, the type of temptation that you can have in this, in this world. And the thing about lust and that temptation is that it is everywhere. And a lot of people like to think about lust as just merely, a sexual thing. And yes, that is mainly the connotation that it's associated with. So that's fine if that's where you're at and that's where you're drawing a lot of your lessons from. But I urge you to, eventually over time, try to expand the way that you think about lust, because at its, core, right, it's a temptation. And what does that mean? Well, that means if it's a temptation, you could be tempted to lust at not only things that are sexual, you could be tempted to lust at things that are material, you could be tempted to lust after things that, even physical things, not necessarily that would go into the sexual, but there are other things that you can be lusting after, And I guess other people, would say, oh, that's greed. You could say that, but it's still a temptation, something that you're lusting after. So why can lust become something that's so bad? Like, you might be a person that's like, hey, this lust ain't so bad. I don't know what you're talking about. Like, I'm really out here just getting active. Like, all these women out here are great. Or if you're a woman, all these men out here are great. So, like, I don't know what you're talking about. You sound like a loser. And I honestly, I don't blame you if you think like that. But let me just say a couple of things that might give you, some ideas maybe. So first, we live in a time, right, where, and it's always been like this, but now it can definitely be seen. I believe the pressures can definitely be seen now, especially with things like the improvement of the internet, and when I say the improvement, like the growth of the internet, the influence that it has now, things like, artificial intelligence, okay? And not only that, but just climates within the world, and how they've been progressing as of lately. And the main thing is, where I'm coming from, social media, okay? It's so easy, even on YouTube now. I don't know if y'all have got this, whoever's seeing this, whoever's listening, but even on YouTube now, I'll be watching some videos and I'll get an ad and it'll be about like it ain't even Viagra, but it's basically a type of pill. And I'm just like, I'm watching a video about a video game. I don't even know what this has to do with this, but it will give me the advertisement nonetheless. So it's just things like that you don't even think about, but it's slowly getting your mind to start thinking about these things that don't always need to be constantly in your head. And why is that? Well, lust can lead to many problems, many issues in people's lives when it goes, unchecked. And yes, in general, there is a balance when it comes to things. There's always a balancing act in place, seen and unseen, but lust is a very strong temptation for most people, if not everyone, okay? Whether you're a younger age, like maybe 18, when you begin experiencing lust, okay? Or maybe older, but everybody experiences it, okay? And it can cause you to, do things that you would normally do, okay? It's like if you ask me, I'm comparing it to a drug, okay? All the temptations, I'm comparing it to a drug. It's really essentially a type of gratification. You know how people talk about instant gratification, delayed gratification? Lust is a instant gratification, especially now with these phones that we have, okay? Like, I could easily just be making this video and be like, you know what? I don't even want to say this right now. I slide up one time, click one button, search engine. Now all of a sudden I'm engaging in lust. Like it's literally that easy. It is that easy nowadays. And then I'm not personally on any of these dating apps, so I can't, give an accurate perception of what's really going on there. But from just videos I've seen and things I've heard from other people that have been on these dating apps, it is also very easy to engage in lust. And then going off on a little tangent right here, like some of these dating apps, apparently it's like you may not even always meet up with a person, right, on these dating apps. And then now the pictures, you may need to be careful trusting some of these pictures out here, because there's some people out here that are good at editing photos, so you don't even know if the person that you're seeing in the photo really look like that, and it's just all types of stuff, even filters on the video. Like right now I'm recording this video on my front facing camera on my like iPhone, and the front facing camera is usually not the best, but this is like what I look like. So, and I usually don't even make videos like this on my first time making a video like this. Had to throw that in there. But look, don't know if I'm gonna continue with this, but look, that's the time that we live in. Okay, you got to be very skeptical, I would say, or just cautious. Just be cautious about some of the things you're seeing online, because instantly, just like that, delayed gratification gone, instant gratification is on. It's right there. Now you're able to see pictures of pretty much any woman you want to, if you're a man or if you're like a guy. And if you're a woman, you could, you could see a picture of any man you want to. And initially, it's going to seem like something that's, oh, okay, this is so easy to do, and why not just do this? Why not just engage in these things? Because it's so simple. It's right here, bro. Like, you sound crazy right now because, like, you're not perfect, bro. You don't be, and that's absolutely true. But let's get into the things that can lead you to do, right? That is not probably in your best interest, ultimately. So first, let's get into it. Broken families. I think there are plenty of people who have an experience of just being a part of maybe a family structure that has a lot of drama going on, and maybe just not so, not such a great environment where you can get along. And people may just think it's because, oh, these people just don't like each other, or, they had this beef or this other drama, which for me is just more gossip, which is also another distraction for you to get in. If you ask me, like, it's just more gossip. And I think that's, a part of the bigger picture, but that's a conversation for another video. But it is a distraction, okay? And the leading cause of that, okay, one thing I do like to say is that deep-rooted issues, and I'm sure I'm not the first to say this, but deep-rooted issues taken at face value lead to destruction. So a lot of people at face value, they'll take an issue they may have or issue the family may have, because that's another conversation for a video right there, right? A lot of times issues are placed onto the children within the family, and then the children don't even have a full understanding of what's really going on, and until they probably get a little bit older. And then, if they're fortunate enough, some of their elders actually talk to them a little bit and tell them, like, okay, this is pretty much the situation, this is what's going on, and they can have a better understanding. But that can happen a lot of the times, okay? And that's a conversation for another video. But a lot of the times, the deep-rooted issue is that there was no check for the lust. It went unchecked, and now they just busted. Like, I'm so serious. Like, it just went unchecked, and then, you get those situations where now this person is having a child, and keep in mind, the child is amazing. Children are great. They're supposed to be. That's how it is, okay? Obviously, children can be annoying. I get all that. But children, at the source, at their essence, children are great, okay? Children are the light, essentially. But you get into a situation where then you have a child, okay? And then due to the lust, okay, you bring this child into a situation that is just not favorable, okay? Especially like in the times we're in, but you bring this child into a situation that maybe is not favorable. What do I mean by that? What is not a favorable situation? Because, and I'm talking as if I'm like, somebody else, right? Or like you, what is not a favorable situation? Like, what are you even talking about? I know I'm gonna have mines. Like, that's my child right there. Like, I don't understand what you're saying. I can't even hear you right now because it sounds like you're talking mumbo jumbo. Because I know I'm gonna have my child regardless. Like, I just know no matter what happens, like I'm gonna have my child. My child gonna have me. You sound crazy. Like, even if I mess up, it's an accident. I'm gonna step up and I'm gonna be the stepdad or the dad that stepped up. And this. look, look. I'm not saying you can't do that. But usually in the reality of these situations is that there are a lot more things and details that having children actually entails that the person that's having them is probably most likely not ready for, especially if it was not a planned thing over a course of time. Okay. So what does this mean? Well, now let's go back to what the broken family is or what a unfavorable situation is, right? You will now bring this child into a situation where maybe the person, and I'll talk both sides, maybe the person the man was laying with was not a person that that person wanted to be with long term, or that man wanted to be with long term. So now he's laying with a woman and he's like trying to sell her a dream. And this is probably an unpopular opinion, especially from the stuff at least I've been seeing online, but it's my opinion nonetheless. So look, it is what it is. I'm gonna say it. So look, the man's gonna sell him a dream because I got it coming up, right? Or just growing up, that was one of the things, being a player, I put that in quotes, right? Being, the bad boy, put that in quotes, right? That's what's pushed, obviously for a reason, but that's what's pushed, okay? And one of the things is that, it doesn't matter, have all the women you want, you feel me? Like, you just sell them a dream. It doesn't even matter because you can lie to them, bro. Sell them a dream, just keep lying to them. It don't matter if some of these women want to be lied to. And maybe that, there's some truth to that, okay? I'm not the guy that's about to be the Captain Save, you know what I'm saying? So maybe there's some truth to that. But all I'm saying is that these situations, if you go that route, usually don't lead to anything that's actually fruitful and fulfilling in the end or throughout your life, and something that you'll look back on and be like, I actually made this decision, and I'm not gonna lie, I've been sticking to it this long. Usually if the conversation is, yeah, I probably might have messed up a little bit. Like, in my younger days, I was really out there on the streets. Like, I was, the girls, the women's, they was looking good. Like, and I was just giving in to all of them. And next, something popped out, and it was just like, damn, now I got my little John here. I got my little, I got a kid here, a child, and now what? But yeah, and and then they're in an unfavorable situation now because now the man who might have sold the woman a dream, right? Now the kid is literally in the middle of that, caught in the crossfire, literally, essentially. That's what the kid is. And even vice versa, man. The women that are here as well, they're gonna be believing the stuff, or giving into the delusion, and then they're also gonna get to a point where they have this child, and then that may not have even been the guy that they really wanted to lay with. Maybe they were under the influence of a good time, and they had a couple shots and maybe smoked some, or whatever it is. If that's the plan, that's what you guys want to do, that's a little different. But usually I'm talking like club settings, I'm talking bars, I'm talking house parties where it's a lot of ego involved, and it's a lot of, hey, look at me, I got the latest fashion on, high fashion. I got these on, these cost this much. I got this chain, it costs this much. It's a lot of that, a lot of gloating and ego stroking. Like, that's just what it is. So those are the situations I'm talking about, okay? I'm not talking about the situation where it's like, y'all might have met somewhere, and y'all had good conversation, y'all actually liked each other's vibe or whatever, and then she came over, y'all were like, okay, this is what we're gonna do. We're comfortable with each other, blah blah blah, and then a good time. So not necessarily that, but these things can lead to a lot of animosity and tension between the parents, and that's just naturally going to affect the child, okay? Regardless of that, if that is the intention or not, that is the result of the situation, okay? And obviously there's varying degrees of how the child will handle it, but it's not the best situation for the child, okay? And that's usually what the situation leads to, because then, you know, uh, let's be realistic here. There are situations like that where it does work out. And when I say work out, the child is still able to grow up, the child is still able to mature, and they're still able to go out and live a life that is, somewhat successful, how you would define it, but they're able to support themselves, okay, sustain themselves. That's pretty successful in this world. I got to be honest with you, but that is a level of success right there. But a lot of times it does lead to trouble, especially in the psyche of the child, because of the things they witnessed, because of how young they are when they experience these things. A lot of tensions, a lot of things they may not have fully understood. So it will cause them to react in certain ways that are essentially coping mechanisms, or, just them trying their best to maybe fix a situation that they don't understand has been going on for maybe even longer than they've been alive. So it's literally, that's just one of the truths in that. So that is one of the things that lust can lead to, that animosity, that tension between the parents, okay? And while I'm talking, I gotta go into this, okay? I talked about those other ideas, that's for another video, but I have to get into this when I'm saying this. So look, I got to talk about the exchange of like these spirits or energies, right? Soul ties and stuff. Look, you can say what you want, that stuff is real, okay? And when I say this, this is also contradictory, which is a lot of stuff within society, as you will come to notice, really is. Once again, on social media and even in life, if you ever been to just, at least here in America, right? High school, any school, public school system. I haven't been to a private school. I can't talk about that. I don't know. But at least in the public school, what was the dichotomy, or what was the system, right? How there's a caste system, as most people know here in America, there is essentially a caste system, or a hierarchy that may be, I guess, invisible, but it's also quite physical, if I'm being honest. In school, usually it's the athletes, the sports guys, and then when you get, I guess, to high school or college, it could even be like the drug dealers. And I'm just being honest, like usually those are like the main people that have the popularity. And I put that in quotes because soon you come to realize that a lot of stuff is a construct made to benefit a system, but that's not what this video is about. So I'll keep that for another time. But that is essentially part of the hierarchy. You have like the athletes at the top, right? The quote unquote bad boys. Then you have the what would be next? What would be next after that? I mean, that's like the main, those like the main stuff in high school, really, at least from my experience. And then everyone else kind of falls under that, or is like being used almost, you could say, because then you have maybe the people that are like nerds. I've literally like seen it happen, bro. Like, I don't know, like somebody's like smart or something, or they're just like gifted, or hardworking in a certain area in a subject, and they're doing well. So people see that and they're like, you know what? Let me just go around this person so I could like pretty much manipulate them and, get them to help me with my work since I'm not doing the best, Yeah, and then they kind of, but it's not always manipulation. Don't get it wrong. Don't get it twisted. There's a lot of people that understand the material that are willing to help and stuff, like tutors and stuff. But I'm talking about on the student to student aspect. That's usually what it is. Like, hey, can you do this homework for me? And, usually it's some manipulation involved. But that is usually the caste system or the hierarchy in school. So you have like the athletes, and then maybe the bad boys. And after that, you got maybe the nerds and people like that who are like the next in line, okay? So why do I mention this why do I even mention the caste system? Why do I mention this hierarchy? Well, because you will see that doesn't just stop. And it stops if you make an effort, okay? You have to say, okay, you have to talk to, look, I'm going to put in some work here to actually try to make a change, okay? So I'm not reinforcing the things that benefit what's going on, okay? So usually, though, that system is not just exclusive to your schooling times, okay? You may think that, as I have thought that, I really did, but that it's not exclusive to just college or high school or your schooling years. That actually trickles over, and you could say falls over, says not the best, or it goes over into your life. It goes over to society. So that's when you get your social hierarchies, okay? And why do I mention this? Because this connects to the lust, okay? We did not lose the lust. I don't want you to, this connects to the lust. How does it connect to the lust? Listen, now, in combination with the stuff that's pushed on social media and society in high school, as you're going with the hierarchy and the things like that, now, once you are actually into society, you have already spent so much time with these beliefs and that this is how you should operate, that you begin to act it out. You begin to reinforce it. How do you do that? I'm going to start with the women this time. The women, now they need a Brad, they need a Chad, and those are just the terms for, they just need one of those, picture perfect men, or they need the guy that's really out here hustling, or however they say, selling stuff under the table, or they need the guy that's the big businessman, the big corporation man, and the guy that's doing this, and it's like me, like I need this. That's what it turns into, and that isn't just a coincidence. It's not like, oh, we just got here. Like, nah. When you think about it, it was also growing up as well. That was the thing that was reinforced. So that's how it trickles over. And then what happens? Now you have those people, right? And it's a mentality. So now you have people sleeping around, okay? Because now they're trained to seek those type of people, okay, with the resources. Because essentially it does come down to that, resources. Because then the attraction part, that's another thing. But it does come down to the resources as well, and literally the training. So now you have people engaging in lust, and they don't understand that it's being, or they may understand, okay? I'm not about to be here and act like people just don't know what they're doing. There's some people that understand that, and they're just like, you know what, YOLO, YOLO, I got FOMO. I'm so serious. It be like that. YOLO, I got FOMO. Like, you only live once, and I'm afraid of missing out. I'm so serious. You only live once, and I'm afraid of missing out. There's people out there like that. I'm trying to tell you, I used to be like that. I gotta be honest. Like, I was one of them people, so I'm not out here trying to, I ain't no high and mighty person, trust me. But I was one of those people. I was one of those, you only live once, and I'm afraid of missing out. Not anymore, though, but that is still very common out here. So it turns into that. It transforms into them getting into situations where they're now easily able to act out their lust. And then that easily leads to what? It can lead to broken families. It can lead to that tension between the parents. And ultimately, who's at the detriment besides the parents is the most important thing that they have conceived. It is the child that eventually, or even instantly, suffers, even if the child isn't conscious at the time of that. But that is the person who ends up suffering, okay? And this connects to many things. It does. That's why it's important, because now, at least in the system we have here in America, once you have that child, people, it's infamous because it's known for how one-sided it can be, the court system, right? Once you have that child, usually it's going to end up in a situation where someone is paying child support, whether that's the man or the woman. Usually it is the man, but that is just to create more tension so people can start arguing about the men, we paying all this money, and then the women get to argue, and then it's a bunch of, no, we doing this, and then it's a bunch of, he said this, she said this, and then guess who's actually making money though? Not those people that are screaming and yelling at each other and don't realize it. It's the courts and those systems and things like that. So to actually better, deal with these kind of things, it's good to just recognize it, good to realize it. It's good to understand that the person across from you is not necessarily your enemy, okay? And that's what, in a lot of situations, people who do benefit from those type of situations want you to think, is that you know, the person across from you is the bad guy, you know, it's everybody else but the actual people who are creating the environment for the situation to, you know, transpire anyway. So you have to be careful with that. And all of that, I say, can stem from lust. Can it stem from some of the other things as well, like greed, you know, gluttony and things? Yes. But lust is very powerful. Lust is very powerful because if I'm being honest with myself, I am a man myself, a male. I get my urges as well, but it's good to be able to control that and be very aware, you know, when you're getting those urges to, you know, as easily accessible as that corn is, and I'm not talking about the one on the cob, as easily accessible as that corn is, right? You got to be able to not watch that, okay? It takes a level of self-control to not swipe up, and I'm saying swipe up but to not go on to whatever your search engine is and to, you know, type it on your keyboard, whatever site, and then it will just pop up immediately, and you basically got, you know what I'm saying? I was gonna say golden corral of women. I don't know if that's a good golden, but look, you basically got the all you can eat buffet pretty much of women, and then if you're women or whatever you're into of men, or you know whatever you're into on there, okay, that's just the reality of the situation. Okay, it's very easy. So you have to be aware of that, because just like that, now you're engaging in that lust. Then what? Then you become drained. Then you don't have energy to do what? Do the things that can not only help other people, okay, because that is a great thing, okay, but the things that actually will truly fulfill you, the things that not only you enjoy, but the things that actually bring you fulfillment. You won't have the energy for those things. And not only will you not have the energy for those things, like they say, you are what you eat. A lot of the times you do become the things that you consume, okay? So you just have to be cognizant and be aware of the things that you're doing on your phone, okay? And it's not like, you know, you watched some corn and you've been watching it for a while and now it's the end of the world because, you know, you're just so deep in. That's not the case, okay? It, there's always a choice to be like, you know what, I am gonna try to hang back a little bit on this here and there. I'm not saying you gotta go a whole, you know, instantly just drop all of it cold turkey, you know what I'm saying? And like you've been watching it for a while now, all of a sudden it's just like, yeah, nah. Because maybe that's not realistic. Maybe you start to, you know, taper off a little bit, you know, little by little and things like that. Just be real with yourself, because you know whatever situation you're in, and you know the efforts you can use and tactics you can use to best utilize the ability to not engage in that type of content. So that is one of the things that's very important as well. It will take away the energy, and then it will become your source as well. You will have replaced the time that you could have been doing something else, man. So engaging in one of your activities or your hobbies. Like maybe you're a person who likes to build things. Maybe you're a person who likes to, you know, draw something. Maybe you're a person who likes to make music. Maybe you're a person who likes to like play video games. I play video games. Maybe you're a person that likes to dance, and you know, maybe you're a person who's really has another calling, right? Or something else that will really bring you that joy and, you know, inner peace and fulfillment. But you've just been engaged in, you know, these temptations for so long that they have became the false thing that is now bringing you that sense of false fulfillment, because it's not really fulfilling anything if you're releasing all the time. Really think about it. Like, what are you feeling if you're constantly giving, if you're constantly releasing that energy to you know, that corn? So that is definitely why lust is one of those things that you should be very aware of, very cognizant of, because it leads to a lot of things. It leads to a lot of things that, you know, can put you in situations that you do not need to be in, all because you were just thinking with that lust. You were thinking with that temptation. You were thinking with that specific energy. So with that being said, that's the video. Hope you guys enjoyed. Peace.